Hey guys, back for another weekly Sunny V2 reaction. This one is why Chris will soon be a nightmare for Mr. Beast. Saw that and I was like, wow, that seems like a weird take to have. I really want to know exactly what's going to go on in this video. So strap in, this could be really fun or really bad and really embarrassing.
The Chris Tyson situation could become a complete disaster for Mr. Beast's brand.
So as far as I know, the Chris Tyson situation is that Chris announced he was on hormone replacement therapy on Twitter. I think people have been pointing out a drastic change in his appearance over the last year, 2 years, something like that. His name is still Chris Tyson, and he's a he, I assume. Any pronouns, cool.
It may also provide some unique benefits. So let's begin by going over the drama before explaining exactly how this will impact the
I'm excited to see what the drama is.
In mid-2022, fans began to notice that Chris Tyson was changing. In the early days, he represented the quintessential Southern gun and truck-loving dude. Yet beginning in March 2022, Chris began to display increasingly feminine traits, making tweets such as, "I finally got my nails done at a nail tech." Additionally, Chris would highlight that his facial appearance had changed significantly since the start of the pandemic, which accompanied another post reading, "Okay, so in 4 different customs I had to prove I was myself because I, quote, look nothing like my passport pic, so much that I'm considering updating my passport. Do you see any resemblance?"
Honestly, no, I don't really see that's crazy. That is a wild change. Is that just hormone replacement therapy? I assume he's stopping his... I don't even know how that fucking works. Someone educate me. I have no idea.
6th of January 2023, Beast Reacts uploaded a video titled "I strapped a GoPro to a fish," in which Chris dressed in a way that prompted comments such as, "Chris has been adopting more and more traits that remind me of my grandmother." Okay, so some...
Okay, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. That is a granny shirt he's wearing. That is some shit my grandmother would wear. Absolutely. Does he look good in it? He fucking pulls that shit off. Looks great.
Chris had to have lost a bet. The look is getting wild. The response to the video then prompted countless viral TikToks, such as this one with 700,000 likes, stating, "How did Chris go from this to this?" While others even made the claim that Carl had turned him gay.
That is so hilarious to me. The Carl Jacobs effect. It's like a thing people talk about on Twitter. The Carl Jacobs effect. What are y'all talking about? This is insane. What was that?
As Carl isn't even that feminine, and Chris had come out as bisexual years before he and Carl had even met. The true catalyst for Chris Tyson's feminization instead seemed to have come from his marriage. In January 2022, Chris would post a photo with his wife to his Instagram, yet after this, the family photo stopped altogether. Fans also noticed that he'd removed his wedding ring, with the ring's absence correlating perfectly with the very first post in which he'd painted his nails. Chris confirmed the split in a post from March 2023 reading, "For a little over a year now, me and Katie have been separated," with this also confirming that Chris's transformation began as soon as his marriage came to an end.
I don't understand why it's such a big deal, why people need to discuss it so much, why there's so many people who are angry, and why there aren't just more people who want to let this man do what he wants to do with himself and refer to himself in any way. He says he is referred to by any pronouns. I mean, it seems like he doesn't really care all that much. He doesn't really want people to treat him a specific way. He just wants to be happy. I don't really see the problem.
Chris went from lighting campfires and raising a family with his beautiful wife to now trying to be a wife with his man buns and long nails. As the criticism continued to pile, Chris announced that he'd be taking a break from social media. And while there was a possibility that Chris would make efforts to return to his former self, he'd rather do the opposite and double down on his feminine image, showing up to the Kids' Choice Awards looking like this before making the announcement that he'd been doing HRT for approximately 2 months, which according to a quick Google search is the medical process for changing genders. Chris would expand on this by stating, "Informed consent HRT saved my and many others' lives.
Well, there you go, man.
The hurdles GNC people have to jump through."
GNC, gender non-conforming, is that what that means? So he doesn't care about what people call him. That makes it easy for idiots like me.
Life-saving, gender-affirming healthcare in a first-world country is wild to me. Just let people make informed decisions about their own bodies, which received a positive response from both Carl and Mr. Beast, who wrote, "Got you, I did one more heart than Carl because I'm a better friend." While his co-workers expressed positivity,
haven't they known each other since middle school?
There goes a father figure the kid won't ever be able to look up to. Hard times create strong men create good times times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Weak man times. Chris responded to this comment by stating, "This is just more dog whistling that somehow trans and GNC folks aren't safe around kids. Tucker begs for me to come back when I leave for like 2 days to film. He is so loved and happy. Kids aren't born with hate, it's taught by people like you, and my child will only know love."
There's definitely something to the whole, you know, hard times create strong men, but it's a nuanced thing that isn't going to be even remotely portrayed properly by words on Twitter or one man's decisions that he happens to be in a spotlight. Like, what the fuck are you even talking about? That's crazy.
I know I'm going to be a great parent, and so is every other person who puts the love of their child before everything. I made this decision because I wanted to show up as my best and happiest self for him. In a way, this was for Tucker. Chris's response received some positivity such as, "I'm convinced you're an amazing father. Tucker is lucky to have you and also lucky to have all of those who surround and support you in his life, as well as I adore that. I'm glad you made that decision. It's so much easier to be a parental figure when you're not struggling with dysphoria, yet he'd also receive an equal amount of backlash. You ripped apart your family and took a father figure away from your son just so you could paint your nails and act zesty. Pathetic."
That's so fucking stupid, dude. That doesn't make any sense. I'm all about being manly too. I'm all about being masculine. I just don't see why this is those things. It just doesn't make sense. It's just one guy doing what he needs to do to make himself happy, to live in the world and operate in a way that he feels redeeming and validating. I just don't understand why that's a problem, dude. I don't understand. Also, I don't understand why you made this video in the light of it being a nightmare for Mr. Beast. I guess for more views.
He will get torn apart at school, won't want to have friends around his house, a life full of difference and being alone. Must have missed the point in that tweet. How's this for him when you're depriving him of a father figure? Although Chris wasn't altered by these comments, as he'd once again reiterate his certainty in a new post reading, "It's never too late to start being yourself," which received praise from Mr. Beast as well as Nolan and Carl. However, these comments also added extra fuel to the fire. In a few years, look back at this thread and remember they were never your friends. Only yes men cowards. Hope you come out of this safe. Mr. Beast responded to this with a simple opinion irrelevant ratio.
Oh my God. I mean, this guy is so handsome, so I definitely believe what he's saying. He looks like he believes, I mean, I'm joking. This is so stupid.
30 followers, so go ahead and ratio me. I'll still rest easy knowing that I'm not a coward who idly sits by watching my friend ruin his own life. In some ways, it was not.
How is that even a take that you could have? Also, who cares? Who cares? If you're that worried about it, then why are you tweeting? Why not just ignore it? If it makes you offended, why not just ignore it and let people just be happy? I know Mr. Beast's content is weird and like demonic in nature and he's the Antichrist and all that stuff, but this just doesn't seem like an issue, man. This doesn't seem like it's gonna be a fucking nightmare at all. Where's the drama at?
Nice to see the boys standing up for Chris on Twitter. However, the situation has already begun to change the dynamic within the videos. For example, in a recent live stream titled Opening 1,000 Mystery Art Boxes, Chris would once again dress in quite a feminine way, and while everybody participated as usual, the energy and vibe didn't feel nearly as smooth as it normally does.
Well, that's fair.
It felt as though there was an unaddressed elephant in the room, and therefore everybody was in their head, as opposed to being in the present moment enjoying each other's company. Maybe everybody was simply too busy opening packages, but Chris did make these bizarre jokes about Jimmy being female, making him incredibly uncomfortable.
Oh my God, Jimmy, look, they drew you. Jimmy, they drew you so well. It looks just like you.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, it's Jimmy.
How did fan art? This is what we were looking for. Be brave, be honest, be kind, Mr. Beast. That is my tagline.
Becoming even weirder when each member started to pay each other compliments.
Hey, nice shirt. Thanks, dude, nice shirt.
Hey, nice shirt.
Thanks, dude, nice shirt.
Thanks. Nice shirt.
Nice shoes.
What the fuck? It just seems like they're just normal dudes with autism.
However, it would act as fodder for another 100 million views worth of drama and criticism.
What?
Chris likely believes that people will slowly adapt to his new appearance over time, but is this really going to happen? Well, maybe. It's difficult to say as the situation is fairly unique, especially when considering Chris's reputation and influence. However, if Chris continues to transition, would it be unreasonable to say that he could jeopardize some of the personality traits which made him a successful member in the first place?
Who cares?
Perhaps the opposite will happen happen, and he'll instead pick up new personality traits that better resonate with the current MrBeast audience. This was put forward in many comments supportive of Chris, who implied that there'll be millions of queer kids who look up to him, although this doesn't necessarily mean that it'll add any value to the videos. MrBeast has likely cultivated a massive LGBT audience, all of whom are already watching anyway, and if we've learned anything from Hollywood in recent years, it's that adding over-the-top LGBT characters for the sake of relatability rarely works as intended.
So
and is
the difference between this is he's not a character. Chris is a real guy and is now gender non-conforming and does not identify as one specific gender, and is not just a character in the show. He's a person that is MrBeast's friend that is known for a long time. So it's not like a character he's adding. This doesn't really make a lot of sense for this to be a valid point.
Often nothing more than a distraction from the premise of the movie or video. On top of this, it can be uncomfortable and unrelatable for the silent majority, although as we have seen, a situation like Chris's does have the potential to create an otherworldly amount of discussion, which could be seen as a benefit for the MrBeast brand.
Drama is good for growth, 100%. That would be an easy way to up my
So you're a
The problem is this type of situation is probably the last thing that MrBeast wants to attract, as he's forced to agree with Chris's position, as he has no way of manipulating the situation without being painted as the bad guy. It's a
Maybe MrBeast is friends with Chris still, and they're still friends. Maybe that's also a possibility, that he doesn't need to say anything because he doesn't care, and he just is supporting his friend because he's a good friend. Maybe that's what it is.
Lose-lose situation for MrBeast. I think Jimmy is in an inescapable situation. If he kicks out Chris, cancelled. If he don't, his channel will die for real. An inescapable situation is a pretty good way of describing the drama, which is also why it deserves the harsh label of being a nightmare. Jimmy has no option but to publicly express acceptance of Chris's transition, as silence or even worse, disapproval would come with obvious severe repercussions. However, in accepting Chris's transition, Jimmy implies that this will be the new normal within the content, thus annoying a different group of people, many of whom will never express their true feelings and may rather simply click on fewer MrBeast videos. If this is the case, Jimmy has no option but to accept this fate, as removing Chris from the videos in any kind of way could create an even more severe media firestorm. The only clean solution, should things go south, might be for Chris to resign himself, and even then rumors and bad press will be unavoidable. Whether it be arrogance or ignorance, Chris seems oblivious to how this whole thing might impact Jimmy, forgetting that he achieved his current level of success by avoiding this exact type of drama.
That was a weird video, dude. How about just let the man be himself? Let the man do whatever the fuck he wants. If he wants to become a woman, then that's fine. If he wants to transition, that's fine. Who the fuck cares? Why is this a video? Also, why is it a nightmare for MrBeast? Do you guys actually think that this is a nightmare for him? Do you think his channel is actually gonna die because of someone trying to make themselves happy and not pushing it down anyone's throats at all? Literally.